Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today I want to talk about a lot of... Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today I want to talk about some new releases that are coming out in October, November, and December. Looking at new releases and what books are coming out is one of my favorite things to do, and just adding to my endless TBR. So I wanted to share with you some books that I think sound really cool. I think I have 15, maybe 16 books to share. A few of these books from the beginning of October have already come out, so if you are interested in them, you can already pick them up. The first one is, it came out on October 3rd, and it is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This is the same author who wrote In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which I really enjoyed it when I read it. So I was really curious about this one. I've been curious about all her thriller books every time they come out, but Midnight is the Darkest Hour is the first one that I'm actually picking up because I already started the audiobook for this one. So in this one, we're following a woman who is the preacher's daughter. She's best friends since she was a teenager with a guy who's called the Devil's Son because his father is a really bad person in the town. It's a very religious town. Right in the beginning of the book, they found a skull, a human skull, in a river or a lake or something, and they're going to investigate what happened there. And I'm sure there will be more twists and turns. But this is a thriller. It sounds interesting. In the synopsis, it said that it's for fans of Twilight, which makes me scared. But we'll see what happens there. The main character does like to read. She liked to read Twilight when she was younger, so maybe that's just why, or maybe there would be vampires. I don't know. I have the list on my phone and I have to reference it, so otherwise I will not remember the dates. But the next one comes out tomorrow when I'm filming this, so it already came out for you. It came out on October 10th. A Stroke of the Pen, Lost Stories by Terry Pratchett. Not only is this cover gorgeous, I really love how it looks. It has a foreword by Neil Gaiman, and it's 20 early short stories by Terry Pratchett that he wrote when he was writing under a pen name for a newspaper. So if you like Terry Pratchett, I'm sure this is really exciting to have 20 more short stories by him that have not been published yet, from what I understand. But I have not read him yet. I've not read his books yet. But I will, and this already sounds exciting for me to exist in the world. The next one, also coming out on October 10th, is Red River 7 by A.J. Ryan. A.J. Ryan is a pseudonym for Anthony Ryan, who wrote a bunch of famous fantasy novels. But this is a little bit more horror-ish, thriller-ish, with so fantastical elements or something like that. Apparently, a man wakes on a boat at sea with no memory of who he is or where he is, and he's not alone. There are 6 other people there. So they wake up on this boat. The boat, there's a computer that says proceeding to point A, and they're just going, and I don't need to know more. I haven't read from this author before, but it sounds really interesting. Goodreads says it's fantasy, so I don't know if it is really there's going to be fantastical elements or if people just put as fantasy because of the author, because he writes other fantasy books. I don't know. I'm going to read it eventually without knowing if it's fantastical or not. Probably, but it's thrillery enough and the premise sounds really cool. The next one comes out on October 17th, and it is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. Is that it? Yes. By Benjamin Stevenson. This is the sequel of Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which I gave 4.5 stars. I read very recently, so I'll leave my review for it. And in my review I said that I don't know if I want to read the sequel. I still don't know, but it sounds fun. So I probably will at some point. So it is about the same main character. This main character in the first book, he is an author of books to help people write. He writes books about writing thriller and mysteries specifically. And in this one, he's going on a train ride that it's like a convention for other writers, and I guess someone dies and they have to figure out. That sounds a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up soon because I think I need a break from the way that this story is told. It's very meta, it's very speaking to the reader, and I really like that, but I have to be in the mood for that. So what I'm definitely going to pick this one up. The next book comes out on October 24th, and I haven't heard anyone talking about this book in any place, but when I was looking up which new releases are coming out, this sounds really fun. It's called The Queen of Days by Greta Kelly. I haven't read from this author before, but apparently she wrote The Warrior Witch duology. But this is an epic adventure that weaves together a flawed but lovable family of thieves, a battle between fallen gods, and stakes high enough to cause vertigo. It's perfect for fans of The Lies of Locke Lamora and Six of Crows. I've read Six of Crows, I have Lies of Locke Lamora, but this just tells me that it's a high story. And high heist stories are really fun. So apparently in this story we have a family of thieves who are trying to steal a statue or an idol at, what is it, an annual celebration of the god Coronis. According to the synopsis, by the time that they get to the thing, half of it is missing. So the main character, which is one of the thieves, joins with a bunch of unlikely heroes here, or anti-heroes, I would say, to find the missing half of the statue. And they have to kill a god for it. I don't know what's going on here, but apparently it's fantasy, apparently it's epic, and it's a heist. So I'm interested. The next book comes out on October 31st, Halloween, and it is A Season of Monstrous Conceptions by Lena Ratter. This is a Thor novella, so what that means for me is that it sounds really amazing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to love it, because I don't typically like shorter stories. But again, it sounds amazing, so I want to read it. It says that in the 17th century London, unnatural babies are being born, some with eyes made for the dark, others with webbed fingers and toes better suited for the sea. And the main character here is called Sarah Davis. She's intimately familiar with such strangeness. She herself was born marked for uncanniness. She has hidden her power for all her life, and now, because of things that are going to happen in the book, I'm sure she's going to have to draw that power to help, what does it say here? To heal and protect the women she serves. It has only 160 pages, so I'm not sure how far we're going to get in this concept, but just the concept sounds interesting. It reminds me a little bit of maybe Carnival Row, and also, what's that one with Sherlock Holmes. The Ordinary? That's not it. What's the name of that TV show? The Irregulars. Yes, it reminds me of Carnival Row and The Irregulars. If you haven't watched The Irregulars, I don't know if anyone has. It was a lot of fun, but there's also some weirdness happening there. And I don't know, just the vibes of this book, it's giving me that. I have no idea if that's what it is. That's it for October, so now let's go into November. November 7th, we have one that I'm sure you've heard about by this point, but I have to include it. How can I not? It is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I loved Legends and Lattes like everyone else. It's just the perfect cozy book, and coming out in November, it's the perfect cozy read for the season. So I can't wait to read it. This one I have already pre-ordered. I will read it as soon as I can, or as soon as I need that vibe, you know? Because this one, the first one, we're following an orc that's building a cafe with help from other creatures, and it's just cozy and nothing bad happens, really. And then this one is a prequel to that, and in which she finds herself on a beach, from what I understand, and there's a bookshop there, and she just has to stay there because she hurt her ankle. I might be making that up, but she's hurt, so she has to stay there, and there's this bookshop. I don't need to know more. I'm sure nothing much will happen on this book, and that I'm gonna love it. The next one is a YA, which I haven't been in the mood to read recently much. I've read some, but not a lot. But it's called Swarm by Jennifer D. Lyle. But it's a horror-ish, I guess, invasion, like alien invasion maybe? Because there are creatures that are appearing one day, and it's basically like a giant butterfly. A terrifying species the world's never seen before has suddenly emerged, and few living things are safe. As the creatures swarm and attack outside, life for Sure and her friends become a survival game. The butterflies are only the beginning. It sounds a lot of fun. I don't know if they're aliens or if it's really just a fantasy, but it's horror. At least I know that. But it's a horror YA, so we'll see how that goes. But the cover looks really cool, and the concept sounds very interesting. The next one also comes out on November 7th, and it is an epic fantasy called The Darkness Before Them by Matthew Ward. He's also written some famous fantasy before, epic fantasies that I haven't read, but I really like this cover, and it made me interested in the book. It's a first in a trilogy and introduces readers to a world ruled by a dangerous immortal king where soul fuels magic and a supernatural mist known as the Veil threatens to engulf the land. So the main character is also a thief. We have a trend there going with books, but she's a thief and she can speak to spirits. Sounds a lot of fun. Let me know if you read the other books by this author before and if you would recommend this new trilogy or even the other ones to me because now I'm interested. The next one, I don't know if it's a thriller or a horror, but it's called Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry. Again, not an author that I've read from before, but one that I'm interested in reading that has a lot of books that sound really fun. And in this one, we're following 3 women that wake up one day in another house with another family, and everyone is trying to convince them that that's their family, but they know that it isn't. So I don't know if they're switching between them, like if each of the 3 women just rotated between families, or if they're like in 3 different families that are not any of their own. But I'm curious. It says here, Celia wakes up in a house that's supposed to be hers. There's a little girl who claims to be her daughter and a man who claims to be her husband. But Celia knows this family and this life is not hers. And then the other woman is supposed to be on a fun weekend trip, but then her friend's boyfriend unexpectedly invites the group to a remote cabin in the woods. So maybe it's not like just everyone waking up in a different family. And then Maggie wants to be home with her daughter, but she's in a dangerous situation and she doesn't know who put her there or why. So I guess I was wrong by my first synopsis there, but it still sounds a lot of fun. I'm very curious to read this one. It sounds like it would be a really good audiobook if it's narrated by 3 different people. And then November 21st, another one that I'm sure you've heard of, but I have to include it here. It's Defiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is the finale, the last book in the series, in the Skyward series, that I have had ups and downs with the series. I really love Skyward. I really liked Starsight. I did not like Cytonic, but I have high hopes for Defiant because I think it's going to come back to what I liked in the first book, which was more of the relationship between those characters that we saw in the first book. I can't talk about where we're at in the series, but Skyward, the Skyward series is a YA sci-fi about this girl who in the beginning, she wants to become a pilot, so she goes to pilot school and she meets all her friends and a lot of things happen until the 3rd book. There's also a few novellas in between, one of which I still have to read before I can read Defiant, but I'm very excited to complete this series because one thing that I know for sure and that I can trust is Brandon Sanderson ending his books or his series. If you finished any of his series, you know that the final book is always phenomenal and filled with twists and very well constructed and crafted, and like it closes up very well. At least that's my experience so far with the books that I've read from him. So I'm very excited to get you Defiant. The next one is Out of Order because it also comes out on November 7th, and it's one that I'm not going to read, at least for now, because it is Mortag by Christopher Paolini. This is the 5th book in the Inheritance Cycle series, which is the Aragon series. I read Aragon and I did not finish the series at the time, but I read maybe 2 or 3 books of it when I was very young, and I remember absolutely nothing. I remember the name of the main character because it's the name of the book. That's pretty much all I know, and that there are dragons because they're in the covers. I remember nothing. I have no idea who Mortag is, but it's exciting that we're getting a new book in the series, especially written by the author so many years later, now that he has written other books and he's probably like a better writer just because of how much time has passed. So this is very exciting. Now it makes me want to go back and reread and finish the 4 books that we had before to get to this one. Because I don't remember anything about the series, I have no idea where we could possibly be going, but from what I've seen, from what I've heard, this is a direct continuation from where we stopped in the Inheritance Cycle. I guess we're continuing, it's still in the Inheritance Cycle, so it's still a direct continuation, which sounds interesting, and it also means that I have to reread the other ones and get to... I forgot, it's Aragon, one of them is Brizinger, and I don't even remember the names of the other books, but I really loved them when I was younger, and that was the perfect type of book the fantasy book that I love to read. So hopefully they're still gonna be fun for me now so I can get to Mortag. The next one for November comes out at the end of November, and it is another YA, which is funny, but you'll see why I'm including it here. It is called Kingdom of Without. It's by Andrea Thang. The cover looks amazing, but the reason why I want to read it is because it says that it's a young adult cyberpunk that it's perfect for fans of Six of Crows and Full Metal Alchemist. If you put Full Metal Alchemist, I will want to read it. That's it. You got me there. And guess what these characters are? They're thieves. Yep, they're thieves. The synopsis honestly is really long. I'm not gonna read it all or you're gonna be very bored, but I'll try to summarize the first paragraph. So here we're following this main character. She's a girl who is a thief, and she's trying to just make rent and help a friend, but when she goes to do a job that she's been hired to do, she finds a sad-eyed army boy who dreams of insurrection, a former rebel leader trapped inside a secret lab. I'm curious to know what the Full Metal references are here. That's all I care about, but the cover looks cool and it won me by saying Full Metal. Now I only have 2 books for December. As the year goes, we're getting more releases being announced, and honestly from what I was interested in, what sounded interesting to me, these were the only 2 that have already been announced that I found. I'm sure there are more that I'll learn about as we get closer to December, and I can do another video like this if you're interested. Let me know in the comments. But on December 5th, we had a book called Yours for the Taking by Gabrielle Korn. This cover looks like other covers that I've seen a lot recently. It does not excite me at all, but the premise sounds interesting. It's a story that happens in the year 2050, when Ava and her girlfriend live in what's left of Brooklyn, and though they love each other, it's hard to find happiness with the facts of climate change rapidly eclipse their world. Soon it won't be safe outside at all. The only people guaranteed survival are the ones whose application are accepted to the Inside Project, a series of weather-safe city-sized structures around the world. It's a very dystopic setting, which I really enjoy, and dystopias with climate change are really fun for me. I really enjoyed reading them. It reminds me of, what's the name? The Ones We're Meant to Find. That was YA book that I really enjoyed. I think this one is adult, but I'm interested. It sounds fun. The reviews are all over the place, like 5 stars and 1 star, so I don't know where I'm going to fall, but the premise is interesting. And the last book I have that I'm very excited for is a little bit of cheating because it's a sequel to a book that I have not read, but I'm still interested in reading the first one, and I love this cover so much, so I want to have them on my shelves for when I finally get to them. It is House of Open Wounds by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's the sequel of City of Last Chances, which is one of my favorite covers of all time. I love this cover so much, but it's very shiny because it's a Goldsboro plasticky thing, but I love these edges. These are my favorite edges that I own, and I'm really hoping they do a special edition to match this, because I will need to buy it, because it's my favorite edges, and this cover looks so good, and the cover of the sequel looks amazing as well, so I'm hoping they do the same thing with the images here, you know what I mean. I haven't even read the synopsis of, what's the name? House of Open Wounds, because I haven't read this one yet, so I need to read this one first. But this one apparently is about a city that everyone that doesn't have a place to be, or that has to be like thrown somewhere, ends up. So it says they're refugees, wanderers, murderers, madmen, fanatics, and guess what? Thieves! And there's also a portal that goes somewhere. That's all I know about that book, but I want to read the sequel already. That's it for the books that are coming out in the 3 last months of the year. Let me know if you found a new thief book they're interested in, or any of the others ones that I mentioned. I think this all sounds so good. I wish I had more time and space on my TBR to read them all as they are being released. It's probably not going to happen. For sure it's not going to happen for all of them, but hopefully I can catch all of them eventually. We'll see. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye!